I think when people look at modern Star Trek, they're not saying that Star Trek can't tackle important issues. I actually think that it's quite the opposite. Star Trek doesn't tackle important issues anymore. It doesn't tackle science anymore. It's just about cadets getting into a polycule, whatever that means, which is something that, of course, no normal person wants to think about or needs to think about in their day-to-day life. By contrast, Deep Space Nine offered a lot of meat on the bone, and you can start thinking about it and think about what it really means in the context of Starfleet, in the context of life. You can argue about the points and things like that, and it gets pretty interesting. Now, I knew that Starfleet Academy Season 3 was coming out last night, or Episode 3, I'd rather, not season. It's not going to get a Season 3. So I actually decided to watch Homefront and Paradise Lost as kind of a palate cleanser to remind me what real Star Trek was actually like. Because as we get into this, it's like, was it always woke? Was it always something that was crazy? And the answer is absolutely not. These are some of the most beautiful, poignant episodes of Star Trek ever. It's like, do we give up our ideals for the sake of security? Do we give up our ideals because of a threat? And the answer is absolutely not. But what are those ideals? And it's not getting into a polycule like you, or lounging about talking about fetishes like they'd like you to think these days. It was about exploring strange new worlds. It was about actually bettering humanity. It wasn't about exploring strange new genders or, who we could bang this week. And that is exactly all Starfleet Academy is. So let's get into this review of Homefront and Paradise Lost in just a moment. My name is John Delarose. I am a sci-fi writer, so I come at it from a sci-fi writing perspective. And I was challenged to write a better Starfleet Academy, and so I'm going to. I started work on this the last couple of weeks. It started as a joke with this, just as a quick thing I posted on my community tab, and everybody liked it. And so I went with it. I actually developed a very deep, rich, hard sci-fi setting, which you're not going to expect, which is beautiful. I've got 70 pages worth of world-building documents that I've worked on this with my co-writer already. We've been on the phone working on stuff, and I've actually written about 20% of the novel so far. Now, it is going to focus on the Academy and Academy life. It's going to be character-centric. It's going to do what Starfleet Academy shouldn't, or couldn't, rather. And this is going to be a beautiful science fiction piece, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So what I want you to do is sign up for my newsletter so you don't miss this. It's in the description below, and you get 3 free books for signing up: a sci-fi book, a fantasy book, and a superhero graphic novel. So thanks for tuning in, and thanks for checking out my science fiction. Let's get into this review. All right. So Homefront starts out, Cisco gets recalled to San Francisco after a terrorist bombing reveals that changelings have reached Earth. Now, you might look at this and be like, oh, is this a reaction to George Bush and Iraq and 9/11? No, this was in 1996. Not at all. Not in the slightest. And so this is pretty interesting. And if you look as this episode goes along, there's a lot of really weird prophetic things in it. And here's the cool part about this. It's not based on real world events. It's not based on the headline of the week. The villain is not the president of the United States, right? I mean, just turned into a star trader or something like that. They are unique characters that are designed for unique settings and actually making a much broader point, a much more interesting point on this as it goes along. So Cisco gets in, and there's a lot of great character development in this beyond anything else. And we've already encountered Cisco for a long time. Watch him problem solve, watch who he is to see how great this gets. Now, Admiral Leyton makes him captain of Starfleet security on Earth, which is pretty interesting. Now, Cisco actually changes his uniform for this to show that there's a marked change in what's going on as well, which is interesting. They go back to the Next Generation look on this, which I think looks really good on him, actually, and remove kind of the Deep Space Nine uniform element of it, and it's to signify that it's different than station life, and it's a thematic sort of thing on here. He visits at his father's restaurant, and which is in Louisiana, and also goes back and forth to Starfleet Command as they look into changeling threats. Now, at the very beginning, he believes that as there was this conference that was going on, there was a bomb that went off, and there was a changeling in the background, that they actually do need to beef up security and add a lot of measures. And these measures include blood screening tests and, of course, phaser sweeps and the like of Starfleet installations and Starfleet officers, and, of course, even their family members because of this, because they're scared of the changeling infiltrators and the like. Now, Cisco's father, who we get to know over the course of the episode, who's kind of frail, weak, and of course doesn't get visited enough, but still is stubborn and really wants to work hard until the end of his days. Like a definite, man's man, somebody you like as a character, much like Captain Sisko, somebody you like as a character, much like Jake is somebody you like as a character. You notice the trend of these characters who actually have like depth to them rather than end up being a representation of something. I mean, they could have taken the easy way out and made Sisko this like allegory for, black people are oppressed and made it totally insufferable, but they didn't do that. They actually made Sisko into a very interesting character. And with all this, you get to know him over the course of the episode, and he steals the show, honestly. This character, too, the actor who played him, actually played Admiral Cartwright in the movies, and who ended up being a secret villain at the end of Star Trek VI. So he's played some pretty diverse characters in terms of just different things in Star Trek, which is kind of neat as well. Excellent actor, an excellent person who's just very much somebody who you just immediately gravitate towards through this thing. And you care about these characters. On the flip side, you've got Nog, who's trying to join Starfleet, the elite cadets, Red Squad. And you actually see what's interesting in this as it gets into the elite cadets. Let's see if I actually got Red Squad on here. Do we show Red Squad in any of these pictures? Let's see. Maybe they do in Paradise Lost Memory Alpha here. Red Squad. Oh, here's one of the Red Squad officers. You see, this is interesting because this is one of the few episodes where you talk about Starfleet Academy. Even though these kids end up doing wrong, they're following orders. They're very regimented. They keep secrets. They stay like they seem like elite cadets. And you look at this and you look at the little philandering and stupidity that all the cadets go through in the new Starfleet Academy. It's such a poignant contrast here. You actually like the villainous cadets way better than the ones that are supposed to be the heroes of the new show. It's absolutely crazy. As this goes along, we learn that the measures that are being taken are so Admiral Leyton can kind of take control of Earth, and he wants to install like a sort of Starfleet dictatorship here. Pretty neat stuff. And as he does so, he falls into a trap. And what's interesting about Sisko's monologue about this, and again, in modern times, a modern storyteller would be like, this is an allegory for Trump or whatever it is, right? And in these times, it wasn't an allegory. And Sisko actually makes the comment, these are good people. These are my friends. These are people I know. They're not evil people. They're misguided in like wanting to do what he wants to do here. What a nuance. Oh my gosh. Like this is just interesting. So you look at this sort of thing and he goes too far. He takes the power too far and obviously goes way over the line because he's the villain and that's what they do. And eventually it comes out that, one, there's not even that many changelings on Earth. There's 4 of them. And we see an O'Brien changeling actually go and talk with Sisko and gives a great performance from Cole Meany as the changeling pretending to be O'Brien as well. What another great actor in this. But we also find out that like Starfleet really has lied about a lot of the problems going on Earth and actually created these things as false flags. Now, gosh, what a prophetic episode. False flagging, blowing up things, events. Like I said, you start to think about George Bush and stuff like this, even though it wasn't, this was 10 years prior, 5 years prior to 9/11, right? On top of that, you've got these blood screenings, right? Because you got to keep everybody safe and screen everybody, right? What does this remind you of? Well, it reminds you of the COVID test and COVID vax, right? Got to keep everybody safe. Better have your vax papers, right? Very, very interesting how this like really replays throughout history. And this is the reason why it wasn't ripped from a headline for a specific event back then. So you can kind of apply it as a sort of allegorical story that stands the test of time. This is exactly kind of like, Lord of the Rings is not an allegory story of recent events, but it talks about temptation. It talks about the horrors of war. It talks about just like having the faith of a child. It talks about a lot of very important thematic things that do then apply across time. And that's the difference in something that makes something really, really good and not. Now, at the end of it, Admiral Leyton, of course, gets arrested and has to step down. Sisko goes back to Deep Space Nine, kind of resets there, and we're left with this very harrowing thing that, like, if we push too far, we could really destroy what we love here. Now, this is kind of interesting, and so it's like, where do you draw that line, and when do you draw that line? That's a great debate, and obviously, with the fact that changelings might be somewhere, that line of, like, having, military out in the streets and all that is not appropriate. But at the same time, you look at things like, let's look at the country of El Salvador. They had, like, gangs overrunning it, and they deployed military in the streets. I mean, that was appropriate for that instance. So where is that line, and when do you actually need to go and actually kind of take apart and disassemble Paradise in order to make it? Well, that's a great question. And that's the question that you're left with. And that's why this is a great pair of episodes. 10 out of 10. Beautiful performances, beautiful acting, beautiful directing, beautiful writing. This is Star Trek. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Sign up for my newsletter so you can get my Starfleet Academy if you like my thoughts on writing and the like. It's in the description below. I appreciate you being here. We'll be back.